Okay everybody, this is mooneydashcam. Today we are in Staten Island, more specifically we're in Todt Hill. That's how I was told to pronounce it from my last video on Paul Castellano, where I apparently mispronounced it. If I didn't get it right, kill me. So, we're going to be going by Frank Mathew's house, right in the same neighborhood as Paul Castellano's house, so we will stop by Paul Castellano's house because why not? But we're talking about Frank Mathews today. A very, very big, high-profile heroin and crack cocaine dealer. His operation spread across 21 states on the East Coast. Very, very big-time dealer. He was a very known moneymaker, money haver. One of the richest guys to ever do it, so they say. He was from North Carolina, moves to Brooklyn, starts running numbers when he's young, gets tired of running numbers, actually gets a little bit annoyed that the mafia and Italians are selling the black community heroin and crack, so he decides that's not right, so then he starts to sell them heroin and crack. I don't see much of the logic, but hey, there you go. So he's annoyed at that. So he doesn't really like Italians to begin with. Then he gains a big clientele and makes a lot of money. I mean, there's crazy stories about this guy. It's really nuts. Some of the stories are he would play craps games and he would play with $500,000, and then he would lose the $500,000. Then he would go tell his buddy, "Oh, go grab me 200,000 more from this spot over here," and then he'd play more. It's like, that's a lot of money. Back in the 60s and early 70s, like when $500,000 was well over $1 million now. Really, really crazy stuff. He would front $2 to $3 million on drug shipments before he even got the drugs. That's unheard of money. I mean, it's unbelievable. He once had a guy this is all from an interview from one of his buddies back in the day, maybe not a buddy, but someone who was around at that time. He once gave someone $1 million cash to hold for whatever reason, I don't know. And the guy that was holding the cash, you know, Frank Mathews is not a guy to mess with. He was known as the Black Godfather. So he wasn't really a guy to mess with. So the guy who's holding the $1 million says, "Hey Frank, you know, like, when do you want this back?" He's like, "When do I want what back?" He's like, "You know those shopping bags full of, you know that you gave me?" He's like, "Oh, all right, I'll come pick it up in a week from you." Almost like he forgot that he lent all that money to the guy. I can't even imagine having that kind of cash. There's another story of a drug dealer. A drug dealer actually told this to the police. He was dropping off money to Mathews, one of his houses, I guess, I believe this was in Brooklyn at the time. Going to drop off money, and he goes, "Oh, put it in that closet over there." Matthew says, "Put it in the closet." So the drug guy goes and puts it in the closet, and he said the closet was packed full up to eye level, stacks of cash, and he just put his duffel bag of cash on top of that pile of cash. How much money that would be, I don't even know. It's also said that he would go to Vegas. He liked to go to Vegas a lot. He lived a very flashy lifestyle. Cars, girls, all the time. Anything you wanted at any time, you know. That type of lifestyle. So he'd go to Vegas and he would gamble. But he would this is what they say, he'd purposely lose money to the casinos. And that was his way of laundering money through the mob. He would get, they would charge him 15 to 18% or something like that on his money. Alright, we are in the, wealthy area. You can see these houses are insane. Now, Paul Castellano's house is wild. If you didn't check that video out, I will link that video in the description. I'll put it up on a little pop down there. But yeah, Paul Castellano's house is one of the craziest houses ever. And then we'll go to Frank Mathews' house, which was knocked down and totally rebuilt. But back in 1971 he had this house built. He was the only black person that lived in this area, and he did it up big. lot of people asked me after the last video who lives in Paul Castellano's house now. I only know this from people commenting. Apparently it is a very rich Albanian family. I don't exactly know that for sure. Like I said, I only know from people commenting. So this is Castellano's house. Now, Castellano has a little bit of is in this story a little bit. People say that he let the DEA and other federal agents into his house to surveil Frank Matthews. I don't quite understand how that's possible, because you see we're going to be passing Paul Castellano's house now. We're going to head to Frank Matthews. It's very far. Not very far, but it's a couple blocks away. I don't exactly know how Paul letting feds into his house, which seems unlikely to begin with, would help them at all watch Frank Matthews. All right, car, pass me. No big deal, pass me. I'm going slow. Here's a crazy story. So, Carlo Gambino, who, as we all know, is one of the biggest mobsters that has ever done it, came before Paul Castellano, put a hit out on Matthews because he had a big heroin trade, and at the time, they made a lot of money off of heroin. So he put a hit out on Frank Matthews, and Frank Matthews already hated the Italian mafia. Let's let these people behind me pass. Everyone go by. Everyone go by. No big deal. I'm in no rush. And everyone else is on a Sunday. So as I was saying, Gambino puts out a hit. Frank Matthews learns about the hit. Instead of going into hiding or backing down or whatever, folding to whatever he wanted, he says, this is his words, he says, touch one of my men and I'll drive down Mulberry Street, which is the main street in Little Italy, and shoot every wop I see. Wop is a derogatory term for Italians, kind of an old school term, not really used much anymore. So Carlo Gambino, smart guy that he was, decided that he should call the hit off instead of having a war between him and at the time they were kind of called the Black Mafia. All right, returning here onto Buttonwood Road. Paul Castellano's house was 177 Benedict Road. This house, Frank Matthews' house, is 7 Buttonwood Road. Okay. Here it is to the right. See the house with the green roof? I'm gonna hop out here because why not? Why not? I'm sure I'll bother someone by hopping out, but this house right here. Just to put in perspective the neighborhood that we're in, this is the house right across the street. Now the house I'm going to show you that was Frank Matthews wasn't really his house. They knocked it down and built a totally new one. I will add what his house looked like. But I mean, look at this house. They say this house is worth like 2.6 million, but I think it's probably worth more. Someone's definitely home, and someone definitely doesn't like that I'm doing this, but hey, I'm on the street. It's public property. I know my rights. There's the truck. So yeah, he was captured in 1973, given a $5 million bail, which was the biggest bail in U.S. history at the time. Today would be $31 million. Kind of crazy. And he gets that crazy bail for $5 million. I saw other things that said it was $2.5 million. Either way, very crazy. While leaving court that day, an IRS agent stops him and tells him he owes back taxes on $100 million that he made in 1971 alone. So I'm sure that wasn't fun for him to hear. After 4 months in jail in New York, his bail got lowered, and he paid to get out $325,000 bail. His friend said they flew to Houston, Matthews and his girlfriend, with allegedly $20 million on them of full laundered money. They didn't really get any tips or anything on where these people were. The IRS rushed to a bank in North Carolina after hearing a tip, and the manager said, oh, you guys just missed them. So they were kind of on their tail for a little bit. After that, they heard nothing. Never seen, heard from, no solid tips ever again. The DEA put out a $20,000 reward on their head. The biggest reward since John Dillinger, the infamous bank robber. And like I said, they were never heard from or spotted ever again after that. Some people believe, U.S. Marshals believe that he's dead. I don't know if they think it's possible that he would survive this long without causing any trouble or without alerting anybody. It probably is likely that he's dead. Some people say that he fled to Africa. Some people say that he fled to the Bahamas. I guess we'll never really know. But yeah, that's everything you need to know about Frank Matthews, and that was his house. I added the one picture of his house that when he actually built it in 1971. He built it for $200,000, which today would be $1.3 million for him and his kids. A 9-room home. All right, I will see you guys in the next one.